What's going on, guys? I'm Alex with Tech. How you doing? So today's video is really important to me. It's a redemption project of sorts. A couple years ago, TCL relaunched BlackBerry, and they put Android on it. And I was like, yeah, awesome. I've always enjoyed BlackBerry phones. It will always have a place in my heart. Being as when I was in middle school, that was the phone that your parents had, and it was the only way you were connected to the internet, at least in my childhood it was. So the BlackBerry always had a place in my heart, and I always thought it was a very sleek device. So I bought the Priv like a year after. I was pretty busy with all the other devices I was reviewing, and then I really wanted to try it. So a year later, when this was on sale, I purchased it, and I wanted to use it for about a month. But the processor that year, the flagship processor in the Priv, was a bad one. Qualcomm had a really bad year for flagship processors in this phone, and I couldn't last longer than a week and a half. I really wanted to do a whole month, a challenge, a BlackBerry challenge for a month to see if I can survive. I couldn't. So that's always stuck with me. I always felt like, oh man, I really wanted to push through. Well, I do have a new BlackBerry today, and this is a phone I want to take a look at. And I finally have some time. I finished the Pixel 3, I finished the iPhone XR review, and now we have the BlackBerry Key 2 LE, and I know a lot of you guys probably didn't even know this phone existed, or you're definitely not going to buy it, but this is the newest BlackBerry. It's a light edition of the Key 2 that came out earlier this year, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to be using the Key 2 LE for a full month. So I'm going to use it at least until the end of 2018 and into January. This is going to be the only phone that my SIM card's going to be in. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick with my guides. I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to make sure I keep this phone in my pocket. So let's open this thing up, and I'll show you guys some of the key features in the Key 2 LE, and we'll jump into it. Let's peel this off too. Dual SIM phone, which is nice. Always nice to have. Very business-oriented feel. The keyboard right there. All right, so here's the BlackBerry Key 2 LE, and this has its own interface, the Blackberry Launcher. I guess it's just called the Blackberry Launcher. It's very standard, clean Android. I have all the apps without putting it in folders right here, but you can put it in folders. It's a very standard Android experience. It has an app dock. Very clean, very simple Android. And this runs Android Oreo, so no Android Pie yet. But I do think we should get that eventually here. We do have navigation buttons right above the keyboard, which is a little weird to get used to. You got to get used to it because in standard Android phone experiences, the buttons are on the very bottom. Or like the Pixel 3 XL or the Pixel 3 now, we swipe up. I did, however, put the Pixel 3 launcher on here, and that does indeed work. So for those of you guys who like using that, we have videos that show you guys how to install the Pixel 3 launcher, which is always in the description below. But yeah, so this is the Pixel 3 launcher that I have on here, and I'm a little more at home with that. So as you can see there, let's lower the brightness a little bit. I do have adaptive brightness on. That's always something we can use. And as you can see here, very clean Android experience using the Pixel 3 launcher, and I really do like that. There is a lot of bloatware from BlackBerry, but that's also one of the reasons why you might want to buy this phone because of all the BlackBerry apps, like BlackBerry Messaging. They have the BlackBerry Hub and also some DTech stuff. So security on this phone is supposed to be a lot better. We're going to test that in depth. Actually, some of that is also on the Priv in the past that we've used, so I do have a little bit of experience with that. And you might, it's a safety of mind, a frame of mind. So anyway, one of the BlackBerry features that you might not find on other phones is this sidebar here. This sidebar has your calendar, your emails, and your to-dos and phone numbers and stuff like that. And you can customize it to basically be like a quick settings menu. We've seen this on Samsung phones. Some other OEMs, we've also had this on before. So it's nothing I haven't seen. It's pretty easy to access right there, and you can add more widgets to it. You can basically put whatever apps you want in here. And it's literal widgets, Android widgets that you could access on your home screen, except you can also put it on this side tab here. So I haven't found it too efficient, but I can see how some people might like having something like this. One feature I do like is, let's open a Chrome tab up. And then let's say I don't want someone to see what I'm looking at. Take 3 fingers, you drag down, and you open privacy mode. So you can set a bar where only you can see that little strip. You basically narrow it down so it blackens the screen, and only you can see the highlighted area. You can drag it, you can click on this to extend how big you want it to be or how small you want it to be, the size of the screen that you want to see. It's pretty neat. It's not something I would necessarily use, but like if you're in a train station and you're texting your wife or somebody, or you're doing some office work, or you work where you have some sort of clearance and you have to, your information, your emails are very private. You need something like this, it can do it for you. So it's pretty cool. I haven't seen this feature on any other phone to date other than the BlackBerry experience here. And to exit out of it, you just press that and you can go back out. So that's pretty neat to have. And other than that, on the keyboard here, we do have some shortcuts as well. So let's see. Let's open up a Chrome browser again. The spacebar, if I press the spacebar, it scrolls down. So it's like a down key for you. This is not a touchpad like on the BlackBerry Key 2 or like on the Priv. So on the older BlackBerries or the more expensive BlackBerries, you can use your finger to scroll like this to navigate your Android experience. Can't do that here. There's no capacitive touch screen here. This is all just buttons. But they do have shortcuts, and you can program each shortcut to open up a certain app or do certain things. So shortcut and gestures, keyboard shortcuts. As you can see here, you can program each one of these to have a certain app open when you press on the button. Another feature that has kind of been a standard for BlackBerry is this capacitive button here, this in-between button. So it's not a power button, it's right underneath the power button. If you press on it, it opens up Google Assistant. You can program that. So we've seen these buttons from Samsung. HTC had that squeeze feature to open certain things, but it's basically a quick launch button. And in this case, it opens up Google Assistant, which is, in my opinion, the best way to utilize that. So we do have that button there. In terms of the keyboard, losing that touchpad feature kind of sucks. That is one thing that I really enjoyed using on the Priv, one of the only few things I liked on the Priv. But the typing experience here is rather difficult for me. It's a little too tight for me to comfortably type on, and I feel like I have to cramp my finger here, my thumb here, like that, to get the word in. And I actually have been making a lot of mistakes typing here, and I've gotten to the point where I think it might be more effective just to type on the screen. So I do need some more time with it. It's only been a couple of days with this phone. But hopefully I can get a better feel for it, because it's very difficult to be precise right now. And no swiping up on the keyboard to get the autocorrect up like you can on the Priv or a more expensive Key 2. That's a big feature missing here. So the keyboard, which is the reason you buy this, so far I'm not digging it that much. It's actually been more of a hindrance than previous years. It is interesting, though, that the keyboard buttons are a little bigger, but I do feel like it's a little more compact than on the Priv. So maybe that's why it was a little more comfortable on the Priv, because the Priv spaced it up a little bit more. Also, the buttons on the Priv are a little more shallow than on the Key 2 LE. Let's take a look at a YouTube video really quickly, too. So as you can see here, we have a video on YouTube, and it's a very small display screen. A lot of real estate on this phone is used up by the keyboard, and so as you see, it's not necessarily a good media viewing device. Most of you who are considering this, or who might even be crazy enough to use it on an everyday basis, watching media is not your number one priority. It's your secondary priority or your third priority. So
It's not that bad. The colors are a little dull from my 2 or 3 days using it. But yeah, at least it's there. At least you have a screen that's actually viewable. So it's not too bad, but we'll talk more in depth in our full review. And finally, the camera. So the camera launches. We have dual cameras on the back here. It's nothing too special. At least it's not atrocious. The Blackberry Priv had a really bad camera. That was also one of the horrible things about that phone that I just couldn't use for a long period of time, because on an everyday basis, there are so many better phones out there with better features and better performances. This camera is at least usable. It's by 2018 standards, it's nothing you would brag about. But it is definitely usable. It's very light. It does shoot 4K as well. So at least it has all the features you need from a 2018 phone. And the photo quality is usable. It's not potato quality. So that at least is a step forward. But once again, this phone is not cheap. It's a $450 phone, around $400 to $450. And it's the processor itself is also not that great. So when it's all said and done, this is not necessarily a phone that I would recommend, period, even if you're a BlackBerry fan. But once again, my thoughts might change after a month with it. But right now, after a few days, those are my initial thoughts. Once again, I'm Alex at Tech. Thank you for tuning in this video and making BlackBerry's, keeping BlackBerry's memory still alive by watching stuff like this. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated with my adventure using this, and I'll see you guys in the full review.
If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, hit the bell button below so that you don't miss a single video in the future. I'll see you guys next time.